and I'm happy to be with you. Hello. So I wanted to talk about something that I've been learning lately. I've been reading a lot about attention. I just finished a great book called Stolen Focus, which I know that many folks have read recently, along with just a lot of research and articles around attention, how to keep it, how to get it back once you lost it, and what attention means for children and how children pay attention and how we can use kids' natural ability to pay a different kind of attention to actually increase their own resilience and sense of confidence. So what I've learned to put a name to recently is that children have something called lantern attention. We as adults have something called spotlight attention. When we're paying attention, we can only pay attention to one thing at a time. And I know many of you who are multitasking, even like listening to this video while you're in another tab, you're like, no, I can multitask. I can pay attention to lots of things. All of us who think that, including me, we are monotasking and switching between tasks rapidly. We can really only pay attention to one thing at a time well. So for example, last night I was texting in my sister's group chat while Phil, my husband, was telling me something. And I typed in the word that he was telling me, right? This has happened to you. And then I turned to him and I was like, wait, what'd you say? I missed what you said and I didn't finish my text. Let me finish my text and then I'm going to turn back to you, right? It's hard for us to do one thing at a time, but we can kind of switch between tasks, which is not really that productive, but that's a discussion for another time. Children have a different kind of attention than that. When kids are paying attention, they're paying something called lantern attention. Lantern attention is when you actually have an understanding or you can pay attention to almost everything around you at one time. And this is important from an evolution perspective, right? Like evolutionarily, kids depend on the adults around them, and they have no real ability to change their environment in a meaningful way. That can only happen from the people around them. So, for example, if I stub my toe in the kitchen while the baby is playing in the living room, she notices, right? She looks up from when she's playing, and she kind of takes a look, make sure that everything's okay. She's hardwired to do that. She's hardwired to be able to pay attention to how's my mom doing in the kitchen? Where does this circular ball go? Because it certainly does not fit in the square. And do I have to poop or did I just poop? Right. Like she's able to kind of hold all of these very big deal things in her attention at once. She has something called lantern attention. Kids have this until they're 6, and then from ages 6 through 15, it sort of shifts gradually into spotlight attention. So that means that our 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds are all able to pay attention and notice what's happening in their environment in a way that we're actually not able to as adults. And I use this with the adults that I work with to a really great effect, because when we know that kids can pay attention to everything around them. And we know that, right? Like if you've ever met a kid, and you're talking to another adult in a room and you don't necessarily want them to hear, they're going to be paying attention. We know that they can kind of pick up on things that we did not tell them directly, but that they were able to kind of absorb from the environment around them in a way that we wouldn't be able to as adults. So the way that you could use that, or you could think about using that as you're working to build up your child's resilience, is for you to kind of put resilience in the air. Picture a lantern in the middle of a room. And you know how when you turn on the light in the morning or the sun shines through your window and you could see kind of all of the dust particles that the light is shining on? Picture a lantern in the middle of the room and picture the air as filled with little particles of conversation that are happening between adults or between other people that aren't your kid, and fill those air particles with stories of hard things that you've gotten through, stories of triumph, stories of you being their age and something feeling really, really tricky and how you felt and what you did. You don't have to tell them these stories directly. In fact, I really recommend just having them be in the air, using their lantern attention to turn to another adult. Talk to this adult about what you were like when you were their age. Talk to the adult about the hard time that you had. Let that be it. Let that be what you're doing. Trust that it's in the air, and trust that your child's kind of lantern attention, their ability to hold multiple pieces of information at one time in a way that we just can't. Trust that their lantern attention is really doing its job, and that they're picking up on what you're putting into the environment. So everything does not have to be like one-on-one directed right to your kid, right? Like we can trust that when we're talking about hard things, that our kids are absorbing the message. Oh, everybody goes through hard things. Oh, my mom went through something hard and she came out the other side. Oh, when my parents have hard things happen, it sounds like they rely on their strengths a lot. Just trust that that's being absorbed, and that over time, that'll make a big difference. That is the second part of the 6-part curriculum that I do work on with parents. And it is a really effective and really important step. And understanding the difference between lantern and spotlight attention is what allows us to kind of take that information and know, okay, what I'm putting out into the environment at all times when my kid is around, they're able to pick up on even when it's not directed toward them. Okay, well, let me know what you think. Let me know the last time your kid has picked up on something that you were definitely not directing toward them, but they got anyway. And I will see you soon.